I'm going to kick us off today by talking about the heart, which is arguably one of the most amazing organs in the body. The heart's job is to pump blood throughout the body to ensure that all the other organs, muscles, and tissues can do their job as well. But the heart can't take on this monumental task alone. It has a partner, the lungs, which help the heart to ensure that the brain, body, and other vital organs receive a consistent supply of oxygenated blood. All right, so before we get too much further, I want everyone to stop what you're doing and just take a deep breath for me. In and out. Feels great, doesn't it? That's oxygen. Now, oxygen, or O2, is a vital resource for all cellular function in the body. It allows our body's cells and tissues to grow, do maintenance and repairs, and facilitate our day-to-day activities. From eating and digesting food and absorbing nutrients to involuntary actions such as circulating blood and breathing, to processing information in our brain and sending messages to the rest of our body. Oxygen is the vital resource that makes all of these amazing things possible. So how does our body manage the oxygen needs when it seems like it is always in high demand from every little nook and cranny in our body? Like I mentioned earlier, the heart and the lungs are the best of friends. They're like the dream team that everyone looks up to because they're the ones that keep everything going. So I like to think of the cardiovascular system as a massive public transit system for the body. The heart and the lungs are like the main hub. And from the hub, the heart manages the circulation in our body, delivering oxygenated blood all around the body on little red blood cell buses. All right, oxygen, this is your stop. Time to get off. But the bus isn't empty when it returns to the heart and the lungs to pick up more oxygen. It's no longer oxygenated blood. Instead of oxygen, it carries carbon dioxide, which is also known as CO2. At every place in the body, when oxygen gets off the blood bus, carbon dioxide gets on. So there's an exchange happening at the cellular level everywhere in the body, and then again in the lungs. So you might be wondering, well, what does carbon dioxide have to do anything? It's oxygen that's the vital resource. And yes, you are correct. We love oxygen. However, carbon dioxide is a byproduct of oxygen being used for all those cellular functions. I'm not going to get too deep into the physiology of it, so try to just trust the process. In order to use oxygen, our body creates carbon dioxide, and then oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide in the blood. So the lungs put oxygen on the blood bus to be delivered around the body, and the body puts carbon dioxide on the blood bus to go back to the heart and lungs. Now, the heart does a really fantastic job of facilitating this transport and circulation of blood all over the body. And it also does a really great job of keeping the oxygenated blood bus and the unoxygenated blood bus on separate lines so that they don't mix together. And now, here's where the lungs really shine. The lungs work synchronously with the heart to keep these blood buses on separate lines. When the heart gets the carbon dioxide blood bus back from the body, the heart delivers it directly to the lungs, where the lungs facilitate an exchange again of carbon dioxide for oxygen. It takes carbon dioxide off the blood bus and puts oxygen back onto the blood bus and sends it back to the heart to be delivered around again to the rest of the body. And so the cycle repeats. Now you might be wondering, what happens to all that carbon dioxide in the lungs? It doesn't just pitch a tent and set up camp in the lungs and make itself comfortable. The heart is like the bus station. The lungs are kind of like an airport. They quickly send the carbon dioxide out of the body in a process that we call respiration, or breathing. As we breathe out, It's like carbon dioxide gets on a plane. It leaves the lungs and flies out of the body. Then, as we breathe in, oxygen flies into the body, arrives at the lungs, and then it boards a blood bus to travel around to the rest of the body for cellular function, which is pretty freaking cool. This happens around 17,000 times per day. So, if each breath you took in a day for a person, you would just about fill the Delta Center for a Utah Jazz game. That's a lot in one day. Now, let me just say, this is a pretty amazing process. Our bodies are so good at taking care of us that most of the time we don't even notice all the work it's doing just to keep us alive. Especially when you think about how many times a day these processes happen. The average adult body has about 5.6 liters or 1.5 gallons of blood. This 5.6 liters of blood circulates through the body 3 times every minute. With 24 hours in a day and 60 minutes per hour, that's 1,440 minutes per day, which means your blood is circulated throughout your body around 4,320 times per day. Distance-wise, that's around 12,000 miles, which is 4 times the distance across the US from coast to coast. And that's how far your blood travels every day. And it does this so easily and so quickly because the body has around 60,000 miles of blood vessels, which, if all your blood vessels were to be laid out in one continuous line, would be long enough to circle the globe more than twice. So I'm just saying, your blood gets around, which makes your heart, lungs, brain, and the rest of your body really happy. You might be thinking, it's the cardiovascular system. But how does it
Annie,
move? Oh, yeah.
it sounds like you're far away.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. It just started doing that.
Okay. It's kind of windy where I'm at, so I'll try and keep the wind out of my
keep
headphones.
the wind down over there.
Yeah. I'll just
it's really
tell it
good
to
right
knock
now.
it off. Okay. Cool. I'm in a different spot, so. All right. Where was I? Movement and exercise. How does that play into all of this? During physical activity, your heart typically beats faster and stronger to increase your cardiac output, which is the amount of blood pumped out of the heart to the body. Cardiac output is a really good measure of how well your heart is functioning and doing its job. Imagine it's like the bus station at peak transit hours. There are so many more buses going in and out, say at like 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, than on a Sunday night at like 10 p.m. So this increase in your heart rate that you get when you exercise allows more blood to flow to your muscles, and oxygen levels in your blood will rise, which is a good thing because, as we've talked about, your body loves oxygen. So everything in your body functions better when it gets more oxygen. Kind of like how we're all more satisfied with and better at our jobs when we get paid more. So anyway, back to exercise. When done regularly, moderate to vigorous physical activity strengthens your heart muscle, and it improves your heart's ability to pump blood to your lungs and body, making it a more efficient bus station. Over time, tiny blood vessels in your body that are known as capillaries start to widen. Think of capillaries like the individual bus stops all over the cardiovascular transit system. As these capillaries get wider, or as these individual bus stops get bigger, more oxygen is allowed to be delivered to your body's tissues, and more waste products, like carbon dioxide, are able to be carried away. So, each time you decide to go work out, or stretch, or just get your body moving, like we are right now, It's as if you are personally ensuring that each tiny little capillary in every nook and cranny in your body is getting a much needed oxygen boost or a well deserved oxygen pay raise. And your body loves it. So pat yourself on the back for a job well done and tell your body you're welcome because it deserves all the oxygen it wants. And this oxygen boost is especially important for your brain. It can lead to an increase in cognitive function and a decrease in feelings of anxiety and depression. And each major organ will see its own health benefits in one way or another from getting that oxygen boost. Our major organs are meant to be at work, like they literally live and thrive at their jobs. And we love that for them. But just like any good worker, if the processes are inefficient and if someone is working too hard and not seeing the results of all their hard work, they eventually slowly start to burn out. And when the heart starts to burn out, that becomes a big problem. Blood buses start to get backed up, and it can be really hard to catch up on all those oxygen deliveries when you're behind. Something that can make it even harder to stay on top of oxygen delivery is a traffic jam in the bloodstream. When we eat high cholesterol foods, so like a waxy substance called plaque builds up in our blood vessels and makes it harder for blood to pass through. Think of it like when there's construction on I-15 or 21st South. Traffic is down to one, maybe two lanes, and it takes what feels like forever to go a short distance just because of the bottleneck. Well, the same thing happens in our blood vessels when plaque builds up in the vessels. The buses can't get through as efficiently, and so less oxygen makes it through to whatever part of the body is affected by that bottlenecked route. And while good eating habits are one of the most important things you can do to prevent this from happening, exercise plays an equally important role in keeping those blood vessels clear so that the blood buses can still complete their oxygen delivery routes. Regular physical activity can help you to maintain a healthy weight, which makes it easier to do daily tasks such as climbing stairs, playing with your kids, bringing in your groceries, or taking your dog for a walk. Because remember, your body works better when all its oxygen needs are met. Excess body weight can also put additional pressure on our joints, major organs, and our circulatory system and nerves, which can lead to impaired blood flow, impaired organ function, pain, or decreased mobility. Regular physical activity helps your heart to stay healthy and strong, improves your lung function, and also decreases your risk for heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. There are countless benefits to incorporating physical activity into your regular routine, but in my opinion, it's the heart that reaps the most benefits. And when your heart is healthy and happy, the rest of your body has a better chance of being healthy and happy too. So, while it is recommended to get 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity each week, and we fully support that recommendation, we also know that any amount of physical activity has some health benefits. Like I said earlier, each time you are physically active, it's like you're giving every cell in your body an oxygen pay raise. So not only will your body feel better, but your body will also thank you for the boost. This can look like improved mood, energy, better quality sleep, decreased blood pressure, and reduced feelings of anxiety and depression. So you might be wondering, well, what are the most heart-friendly ways to move my body then? What can I do that allows me to get more oxygen in and get more carbon dioxide out? According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, aerobic exercise and resistance training are the most important exercises for heart health. Examples of aerobic exercise include brisk walking, running, swimming, cycling, playing tennis, hiking, dancing, stair climbing, jumping rope, cross-country skiing, rowing, gardening, stationary biking, water aerobics, water exercises, Zumba, using the elliptical machine, HIIT or high intensity interval training, jumping jacks, boxing, and more. The list goes on. If you have damaged heart muscles, are coming back from an injury or illness, or are just getting back into physical activity, talk to your doctor first about trying low intensity aerobic activities like walking or swimming. Start slowly and try to add more time to your workouts over time. Always be sure to warm up your muscles for a few minutes before you start and then stretch well afterward. So, you might be thinking, well, Annie, this is great advice and all, but how is this supposed to be a love story? Well, not to be cliche, but isn't anything worth loving worth working for? I think the best love stories aren't always fairy tales where everything is picture perfect, just falls into place, and has a happily ever after. No, the best love stories are about people who struggle. And despite all odds and challenges in their lives, they find ways to support each other, make each other better, look out for each other, and they never lose themselves in the process. It's not going to be easy. You'll have to try new things, and there are bound to be ups and downs, but you know in your heart that it's worth it. And that's how I feel about taking care of your heart. And the best way to do that is with exercise. So when it comes to movement and the heart, that's a love story to me. And that's one that I hope you all will also think is worth working for. And that's all I have. So time for questions, I guess. Sadie, do we have any questions in the chat?
Any questions in the chat right now? If you're out there moving and you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself. That's totally fine. You may have covered everything, Annie. All the questions participants had.
I tried to be really thorough, but I could talk about the heart all day. I mean, honestly, there's so many cool things that the heart can do. So if you're a heart enthusiast like I am, feel free to message me on WebEx and we can chat about it if you have questions or want to get real nerdy about it with me.
I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning on the slide it showed Annie as a nursing student right now. So was it last week at one of your clinicals you were working in surgery? Was it heart surgery by chance?
Yes, that was in February. I did a clinical rotation in the OR, and one of the surgeries that came through was a heart surgery. And I won't go into too much detail about it, but it was really fascinating to be in the operating room while someone had their chest open and their heart was just right there, you know. Pretty amazing thing. And it's really cool to see the ways that we can help the heart when part of it fails or if something gets stuck. Modern medicine is pretty great, but we want to do our part to keep our heart healthy before it gets to that point. So, do your best to eat well and get your movement in every day so you can have a long, happy, healthy heart for the rest of your life.
It's always a good reminder. Sometimes we get focused on the external benefits of exercise or with the numbers that correlate with moving our bodies, but knowing that any type of movement you do is going to be beneficial to your heart is always a plus. So thank you for talking about that, Annie.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it helps me understand like I was saying, each time you do movement, like everywhere in your body is getting a little oxygen boost. And so it's, every little thing counts and it's not so much about, logging the minutes or losing the weight, but it's about just moving in ways that make you feel good. And that's just a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for coming. If you are out there moving, fantastic. And if you're able to see the chat, I have put a link to register for some upcoming events and workshops in there. And we hope to see you at our next walking workshop on Monday, April 8th. We'll be talking about everything